Great. Hi, everybody. I am Emily Meade. I'm a functional architect in Slalom's AI Innovation Hub. I've been with Slalom for 5 years and building in the Salesforce ecosystem for 10, and I'm super excited to talk to you guys about Agentforce today. So, what is Agentforce? Agentforce is the Salesforce platform that enables you to build, deploy, and monitor these autonomous AI agents with no code or low code tools. These are AI agents that can do things like analyze data, make decisions, reason like a human, and actually complete tasks and take action in the system on your behalf. It's somewhat of a rebranding of Copilot and Einstein 1, plus some new features and capabilities. I think most notably, Agentforce agents can be faced externally to customers and partners, in addition to being faced internally with Copilot, which was available before. Agentforce also allows multiple agents to be created as opposed to just the one internal agent with Copilot. And the Agentforce also comes with a new Atlas reasoning engine, which we will get to. But essentially, these are the brains behind these autonomous Agentforce agents. It's new and it's very impressive. Agentforce also provides some like out of the box and turnkey features and templates to get customers, started quickly. And it also all runs through the Einstein trust layer, keeping your AI solutions safe and reliable. So we'll walk through kind of all of that today. Agentforce is really deeply integrated with the rest of the Salesforce platform. You can see here it's kind of sitting on top of all of our clouds. And this puts it at a really great advantage in the marketplace because, one, so much of our data and metadata already sits within Salesforce. So it's able to provide so much rich context to its AI agents. And secondly, it already sits on top of our pre-existing automation tools like Flows and like Apex, for example. So it's very natural to be creating these AI agents that are kind of an extension of that. I also want to point out here, I feel like it's a very confusing point when it comes to Agentforce. You do not need to purchase additional Data Cloud credits to turn on Agentforce. The Agentforce SKUs come with a bundle of Data Cloud credits that allows you to do the things you need to do, like use the Einstein trust layer, use the audit trail, have the ability to connect to your large language models in Model Builder, right? You do need Data Cloud turned on to be able to use Agentforce, but you don't have to purchase additional Data Cloud credits to have it be adding value. These additional Data Cloud credits can absolutely be beneficial in enriching your AI agents further with data that lives outside of Salesforce or leveraging unstructured data in your AI solutions, but it's not required to turn on Agentforce and be realizing value from it. Okay, so with that being said, I am just going to jump into a demo. I'll show you some of these different aspects of Agentforce, and then we'll come back to this PowerPoint and kind of deconstruct what we just saw. All right, so this is Agent Builder. This is where I can build custom autonomous agents declaratively with these low-code, no-code tools. Agent capabilities, this is my agent, and agent capabilities are organized into topics, like you see here. Topics are the types of jobs that the agent can do. So let's click into one. We're going to click into the contact relationship building topic that I created. This topic enables sales agents to build their professional relationships with customers based on notes that sit on the contact. And you can see this topic has a couple things tied to it, right? It has a description. This is text that defines when the agent should use this topic. It also has a scope, which is text that defines what the agent is able to do within this topic. And then finally, it has instructions. So this is text that describes rules that should be followed when attempting to execute the actions or completions in this topic. And you'll notice, right, this is all text. It's not code. It is really, truly using natural language to help instruct this bot on how it should be behaving and which topics that it should be picking. One topic can also have one or multiple actions. And so actions dictate how the agent systematically completes a task within this topic. And in this example, I'm using two here. So first is identify a record by name. This is an out-of-the-box action. This helps to identify a record within Salesforce based on how the conversation is going. And then this second action is called contact small talk. This is a custom action I built that's referencing a prompt template. So I'm going to take you to that prompt template that this action is referencing. Here it is. This prompt template is really telling the large language model what it wants it to do and what data it should be grounded in. So here I'm saying your purpose is to review the data and suggest specific topics for sales reps to discuss with the contact to build their professional relationship. Be creative and specific. Don't recommend topics surrounding business, technology, or works. The topic should be personal in nature, right? And then I'm grounding this prompt in data. This is the grounded piece here. I'm using the contact notes field, and I'll show you what that field looks like here. It sits on the contact, and here's the notes. So for Lauren Bailey, we have some notes about her. We have some notes about she's very well connected, plugged into the supply chain department. She deeply cares about scale and minimizing tech debt. And then we have some personal information about Lauren too, right? She has 2 daughters. She loves golf. She wants to make a hole-in-one. Also, she's vegan. Okay, so we're using this notes field to ground our prompt in data to make it really personalized, to give us some really great outputs, right? And then in my prompt, I'm also telling it how I want this output to look. I want them to use bullets in the response. So I'm going to go back to my builder, and I'm going to ask a question to test this out within the builder so that I can show you how this really cool Atlas reasoning engine works. All right, so I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to say, I have a meeting with Lauren Bailey today. How should I kick off the conversation? And in the background, we have our Atlas reasoning engine understanding the intent of my question, understanding the topics available to it, creating a plan to complete this question. So we see, here's my user prompt. This is what I asked. It selected the correct topic, right? Contact relationship building. It understands it has instructions it has to follow. So always use the identify record by name action first to identify that contact record. And it understands the actions that it has. So it's first going to ask me to identify which record. It found 2 Lauren Baileys. I want the Lauren Bailey contact. So I'm going to select the contact, and that Atlas reasoning engine is going to continue thinking here for me. Awesome. So, right, it identified the record by name, and then it selected my contact small talk action, and then it output this response. So ask about her daughters, Ellie and Grace, ask about her golfing hobby and her progress towards achieving a hole-in-one by age 50, discuss vegan restaurants or recipes, and share any personal experiences related to, tech debt, right? So giving me some really personalized information in the structure that I asked it for. I'm going to give you another example here. I'm going to go to a different topic, my general FAQ. And here, this is designed for when customers are asking general questions about the company, our policies, and things like that. You'll see that I have 2 top actions here, and I want to speak specifically to my home products RAG Flex template action. This is a custom action that's also referencing a prompt template. And I'll show you this prompt template. The difference here is that I'm actually grounding this prompt template in unstructured data from Data Cloud. So I have product information living in Data Cloud that is blobs of text talking about warranties and product information. So I'm using this prompt to direct it to say, answer questions about these products and these warranties, use this unstructured data from Data Cloud using what's called this retriever. This is the grounding, right? And we're going to get more into this a little bit later. So I'm going to ask another question here about a particular product. I'm going to say my battery degradation for the Solar Boost battery is 85%. Am I covered for warranty? And again, we see our Atlas reasoning engine thinking, planning out its steps, right? So we see that it chose the right topic, it chose the right action, and here's the response. Based on the product description documents, if the battery, it's only covered if the battery degrades below 80% of its original capacity. Given that your battery degradation is 85%, it does not meet that threshold for warranty coverage, right? So really direct answers for my questions, leveraging the data we have in Salesforce in Data Cloud. Okay, I want to show you one more quick before I switch back to the PowerPoint. I want to show you this topic called case management. And the purpose of this topic is to be able to take specific actions against cases in our system. So I have an agent action here called close case. And this action is actually connected to a flow that I have created. So here is my flow. It's a very simple flow. We're getting a case and we're closing the case. We're updating the case close date, the close summary, and the status of the case. So we'll go back to Agent Builder. I'm actually going to demo this one for you in Copilot. So let's come here. I'm going to pop open my Copilot on the right-hand side, and I'm going to say, tell me about Lauren Bailey's cases. All right, so it found Lauren Bailey. It's showing me these cases tied to Lauren Bailey. Now I'm going to say close this case 1116. Okay, it's going to ask me to provide a close summary. I answered her questions. I'm going to submit that. And again, right, it's moving through my flow of what I need to close this case. And it's going to say, great, your case has been closed with a status of closed, close date of today, and the close summary that I've entered. So let me click into this 1116. I see that it's closed, and I see my closed summary updated here. So some really, really cool capabilities that you're able to have with Agentforce, right? Really speeding up your agent's ability to service your customers and manage data within Salesforce. So let me jump back to my PowerPoint here. Okay, now let's unpack what we just saw. So there are 4 big components or buckets that make up Agentforce. This is how I like to organize my thoughts when I'm thinking about like what goes into Agentforce. The first one is Agentforce Studio. This is where we're building and customizing our agents. It includes Agent Builder, Prompt Builder, and Model Builder. The next one is the Einstein Trust Layer. This is keeping our data safe and secure. It also comes with these pre-built out-of-the-box agents and features to give customers a really good starting point. And finally, Data Cloud. So this is a way to ground our AI solutions in unstructured data or data that lives outside of Salesforce. So let's jump into each of these quick. Agentforce Studio. So Agentforce Studio, like I mentioned, this is where we can create and customize our autonomous AI agents and place them internally or externally for use. It's made up of Model Builder, where you select your large language models, Agent Builder, where you build these autonomous agents declaratively. This is also where that Atlas reasoning engine sits, and Prompt Builder, where you are creating these reusable prompt templates. So we're going to walk through each of these. Like I mentioned, Model Builder, this is where you choose and configure your large language model to be used in your various prompts. You can also kind of build your own predictive models in Model Builder as well to be incorporated into your agents. But really, when we're talking about like our generative AI solutions, this is really where we're connecting mostly to large language models. And it's here you can set some additional parameters around your large language models as well. Like, for example, temperature, which determines how predictable or repeatable versus how random and creative the responses will be coming back from the large language model. So that's Model Builder. Now we have Agent Builder. This is what we just saw in the demo, right? Where we're building these internal and external agents with topics and instructions and actions. So one agent can have multiple topics. These topics define those categories and capabilities of an agent. A topic has a description, which is text that will guide the solution on when to use this topic. It also has that scope, which is used to constrain the agent from attempting to respond with outputs that are outside of this desired job. And then topics also serve as this container for instructions and actions. So topics can have one or more instructions, which we saw, right? Text to guide the reasoning engine on rules that should be followed within that topic. And they can also have one or more actions. So these are systematically defined actions like flows or apex or prompts for the agent to complete if it's determined by the reasoning engine that this action is required to execute its plan. This is also, like I mentioned, where that Atlas reasoning engine sits. It allows your agents to create and execute these plans based on these natural language inputs from your users. And then these agents are able to be specified to run in a particular channel, like on your Experience Cloud site, for example. And they can also be tied to a user record to dictate what permissions this agent has, like object and field level permissions, read-write permissions, things like that. So that's really what makes up that agent builder that you just saw. So at a super high level, when you're creating an agent builder, you're going to create actions that your agent can complete. These are based on prompts, flows, out-of-the-box actions. Those actions are going to be tied to topics, which will have instructions on how to best execute the actions within that topic. And then the agent is going to be placed in the channel of your choice. Okay, let's talk about prompts. So generative language models are super versatile and can create all different types of responses. And so all a prompt is a way for you to tell a large language model how you want it to produce a particular response or a particular output. Prompts directly determine the quality and the relevance of the large language model's response. So it's really important to be crafting prompts that the LLM can understand and use effectively, right? So here's an example of a prompt with some different prompt elements. We see that grounding data there, right? The name, the title, the company. We see some conditional logic that the prompt can use when it's processing its outputs. You can set the tone and the style that you want the output to be in. And you can also, dictate the output specification. So do you want it in bullets? Do you want it in a paragraph? Do you want to make sure it's not longer than 250 characters, right? All things that we want to make sure we're including in our prompts to get the best type of output. So Prompt Builder then is a place where you can create these reusable prompts called prompt templates and ground those prompts with applicable data that the LLM then uses to produce some really relevant outputs about your business and about your data, right? Your prompts can be grounded in things like CRM data via merge fields or flows or Apex or data from Data Cloud. So once you've created your prompt templates, you can then embed them in your user's flow of work, like embedding them in flows, putting them on page layouts, in emails, right? And then you can also combine them with agent actions to be leveraged in your AI agents in Agent Builder, like we saw in the demo, right? Combining them, putting them into those Agentforce actions to be used within your Agentforce agents. This is an example of what a grounded prompt looks like in the prompt template versus when it's hydrated with the data on the right-hand side. So on the left, you can see those merge fields at the top. Similarly to those merge fields, you can put in like email templates, right? In the middle, you can see we're grounding with a flow. So taking details that a flow has gathered to ground the prompt. So like in an instance, for example, of collecting multiple records, for example, you could use that flow to grab the multiple records to ground your prompt. And then lastly, you see a prompt being grounded in a data cloud retriever, which we'll get to, but at a very high level is grounding in unstructured data from data cloud. All right, and so I'm not going to go too deep on this slide, but there are different types of prompt templates that you can use in Prompt Builder based on your different use cases. And there's new ones that are continuing to be released. So again, I won't go super deep, but these templates are really designed to do things like generate field values on a page layout or generate email drafts or summarize data. The Flex template is kind of like the free-for-all template, giving you the most flexibility in what you can do with your prompts. So you'll have access to this slide deck where you can kind of learn more about these different types of prompt templates. Okay, let's talk about Data Cloud and RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. And this is really an approach to leveraging this unstructured data in your AI solutions. So we've talked about grounding in CRM data and merge fields, and we've talked about grounding in flows. And now I want to talk about grounding in unstructured data using RAG. So when we talk about unstructured data, we're talking about things like PDFs, product descriptions, transcripts, like these big blobs of text that have been very difficult to leverage in business automation and in like an impactful way, I would say, until now, right? And 80% of enterprise data is unstructured. So being able to leverage this as context in our AI agents can be a huge value add. Data Cloud provides this ability to ground our AI prompts in structured data outside of Salesforce and unstructured data from anywhere, right? So here's our unstructured data. Data Cloud is able to ingest this unstructured data, enabling something called semantic searching, which we'll talk about in the next couple slides. And that allows us, when we're building our prompts and building our AI agents, to dynamically ground those prompts and agents in this unstructured data to deliver a really high quality response or high quality action. So what does this process of ingesting this unstructured data and enabling this semantic search actually look like, right? So what the Data Cloud vector database does, it first chunks up its unstructured data into smaller pieces, and then it uses an embedding model to vectorize it. So it's very much a buzzword, but really what this means is it's transforming each chunk of text into a series of numbers using an embedding model. And these numbers are a semantic representation of that chunk of text. Like, what does this chunk of text mean? Indicated with numbers. And we'll get to that as well in just a minute. And then finally, it stores these vectors in something called a search index so that they can be really efficiently retrieved in your prompts through something called a retriever. It's even really think of a retriever as another type of merge field, right? It's going to become an option for you when you're building your prompt to ground that prompt in a retriever coming from Data Cloud. And so in that retriever, we saw that, right, in the prompt that I demoed earlier on. So let's look at this in practice. So we have our unstructured data here that we're passing through an embedding model to create these vector embeddings. And you can imagine these embeddings being plotted on a multi-dimensional space, like a 3D space, but actually way more than 3D. And these are being plotted in close proximity to other embeddings with similar numbers, meaning similar semantic relevance, right? So we're used to thinking about data being stored in rows or on an XY axis, but in this case, they're being stored in this multi-dimensional space. So if we plotted Wolf dog, and cat, they would probably be plotted pretty closely together, right? They're animals, they have fur. If we plotted banana and apple, they would probably be plotted a little further away from wolf, cat, and dog, right? So in RAG, when a user asks a question here, that question also goes through this same process of being passed through an embedding model and creating an embedding, and then being plotted on this same multi-dimensional space. And then it's going to grab the embeddings plotted closest to it to find the relevant content to answer the question. So if someone asks a question about a kitten, for example, that might be plotted, would probably be plotted closest to cat, maybe near dog, but probably pretty far away from apple and banana, right? So let's see this with an example here quick. All right, so we have our unstructured data. We've sent it through an embedding model into Data Cloud. Let's just say these embeddings are something like stuff about orange cats, right? Orange cat breeds. Orange cats are known for their friendly personalities. Most orange cats have green eyes. These are different types of embeddings that we've put into Data Cloud. Now a user is going to come in and they're going to ask a question here into our agent. What kinds of kittens are orange? If we're using RAG, that question is going to be embedded in Data Cloud. It's going to look around it to see what similar context is there. And then it's going to pull back that relevant context. So what probably will be closest to it is context saying, these are the orange cat breeds, right? And then what we're doing is we're sending the prompt, the question, and the context that we grabbed all over to the large language model. And in this case, we can pretend that the prompt that we had created here is that you're a playful chatbot designed to support users in answering questions about various animals. Keep answers short and quirky, but always professional, right? So we're sending all of this through to the large language model, which is going to take this information, essentially act as a language processor to put these together and come back with an output to the user that looks something like this. Meow, there are various types of orange cat breeds, including American Shorthair, British Shorthair, Maine Coon, and Persian. Is there anything else I can help you with today? So this is a very high-level RAG and kind of how Data Cloud can help enrich this Agentforce solution. Okay, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to go pretty quick. Einstein trust layer here. Before we jump into the trust layer at a super high level, we've talked through it, but this is how GenAI solutions work, right? This is an oversimplification, but we have a prompt, we ground the prompt with data, we send that through to the large language model, and it generates a response. But there are a lot of concerns that come with this AI process, right? What about our sensitive data? What if the large language model is storing our data or training on our data? What about transparency and how we can see what's going in and what's coming out, right? Well, our trust layer mitigates a lot of these common concerns. What our trust layer is doing is every time we send something through Agentforce, we're going through the trust layer. And so it's really securely retrieving data based on the permissions that the user has. So it's not going to pull data that the user doesn't have access to. It can also mask data based on your settings and your configurations so that sensitive data never makes it into the large language model. It has built-in prompt defenses to guard against harmful outputs. It makes sure that the large language model is not retaining your data or retraining based on the prompts that are being sent in with it. It also detects toxicity and prevents those toxic results from being shown to our users. And it also provides like dashboards and reports on what is going on, what's being sent to the large language model and what is being sent back. So the trust layer is really a very important part to making sure that this AI solution is secure and can be trusted. Okay, last section on Agentforce are pre-built features. I'm not going to go super deep here, but I just want to outline that Salesforce has some out-of-the-box pre-built AI capabilities that span across clouds. Some of these are like standalone features that can be turned on, like service replies or knowledge creation. Others are agent templates. that are like templates within Agent Builder. So like Service Agent and Sales Coach are agent templates that are coming out. So you can go in, it has some standard actions and topics in there for you, and you can customize further, right? And then there are some other standard out-of-the-box things like agent actions, like we saw in my demo, that can be pulled into an agent via Agent Builder. So like knowledge search, record search, create a close plan. These are out-of-the-box agent actions. So some of these can be customized to a degree, but there's a lot of turnkey stuff to get customers going quickly with AI solutions. Okay. Building a business case. So Gardner says that 30% of Gen AI proof of concepts are going to be abandoned in 2025, with the biggest reason being a lack of a strong business case. So we all know Agentforce is cool, but that's probably not enough to get your project funded and moving, right? A much more powerful strategy is to build a business case with projected ROI. And so these are kind of the 5 golden rules, golden questions we ask to start building this business case. What are the business KPIs you want to impact? What are those KPIs now? What would you like them to be? And what's the value of the difference there? And also, when do you need the results, right? Slalom has this public-facing site called Enhance IQ, which I'll show you here, which essentially allows you to come in and select an industry, a job function, and a role to give you some ideas on different use cases for this particular job function and role. So I'm going to say insurance, claims management, maybe I'm a claims adjuster. It's going to give me some different ideas about what's ways that we could use AI from an assist perspective or an agentize, right? This could be really powerful when we're thinking about Agentforce use cases, right? Like what are things with this role that could be agentized or augmented, right? So giving you a great starting point if you're stuck with use cases to be brainstorming here. So again, you'll have this deck. Feel free to go in and play with this Enhance IQ. After you've done that, it's also really important then to start defining predicted ROI from these particular use cases, right? And so Slalom has this really cool Gen AI ROI calculator. This is unfortunately is not a public link, but Slalom is more than happy to help you guys, walk through some of these use cases and predict some ROI. I'm going to show you what this calculator looks like. Here you can see I have created 2 example use cases, and this is total example, right? These numbers are all fake, but let's jump into this external chatbot use case, right? I'm trying to understand my ROI if I were to build an external chatbot for maybe my contact center. So it's going to have some stuff you can fill in up here, the name, the industry, your description of what you're trying to do, my estimated number of users. And it's also going to give me kind of a questionnaire to predict my risk score here. So I can walk through this questionnaire, check boxes that apply to me to determine the risk of this particular use case. So in my scenario here, my risk score is at a 28. You can see some examples that I've checked. Could this AI system generate outputs that negatively impact customer, client, or market trust? This is in this use case, it's an external facing chatbot. So yes, potentially, right? So I walk through here, I get my risk score. What it also allows us to do then is actually calculate some predicted revenue increases, cost reduction, cost avoidance, and implementation costs for these use cases that you are building out, right? So in this scenario, an external chatbot, we're probably looking at this cost reduction benefits. I'm going to pop this section open, and it gives me a lot of different places to calculate where cost savings might occur. So I'm going to open this one as an example. It's going to increase call center deflection. So let's say I have a yearly call volume of 5 million calls average cost per call is $8.50. I think that 25% of this 5 million call volume could be addressable through AI. And I think of that 25%, maybe 20% of that is actually going to be deflected through what I'm implementing. So if I save those details based on those calculations, I'm looking at a $6 million savings over 3 years, right? So there's a lot of places in this calculator to help us be thinking about all the different ways that we could be saving cost, increasing revenue, things like that. And I see here then the summary. Oh, sorry. And again, like implementation costs and recurring costs, right? We can estimate these in here as well. And so the combination of these things, it's predicting, okay, I'm going to break even at 14 months and my ROI is going to be 183%. Wow. Another really cool thing about this tool is I can actually compare use cases together, right? So that was my external chatbot use case, but let's compare that external chatbot with my internal assistant use case that I've created. Let's plot these on 2 different graphs. And I see actually that my internal assistant, the analysis here is actually, I think you should work on that internal assistant first. It looks like we have while the benefits that we're getting are less in our internal assistant, 9 million versus 13 million, our ROI after 3 years is actually larger with the internal agent. And I see the payback period are similar, and actually my risk score of my internal agent is lower as well. So this tool really helps you start building this business case and having some concrete estimates that you can be bringing to your business besides, hey, Agentforce is cool and we should try and implement it. Okay, I know I'm basically at time. I think the last thing I'll show you guys is that I will leave you with some additional Agentforce learning links here to continue your journey. And hopefully you guys will can get certified with the associate and specialist. That would be super awesome. So I'm going to turn it over for any questions that you guys might have. And I apologize, Lauren, it's very difficult for me to hear the room. So if someone near the microphone can say the question, that would be awesome if there's any in the room.
Any questions?
So my company, we currently have the free version of Data Cloud. How useful is Agentforce without fully going into Data Cloud at this point? Because I know that's probably a big question that a lot of people have because we were just introduced to Data Cloud last year during Dreamforce. So everybody's still trying to get use cases for it. So how can we still use Agentforce if we haven't fully committed to Data Cloud yet?
100% yes. Of course, it depends on your use cases, right? But if you have data living in Salesforce, which I'm sure that you do, your Agentforce agent can still take action on that data. It can still, leverage knowledge articles to surface helpful information to your agents. You absolutely do not need additional Data Cloud credits or to go all in on Data Cloud to explore Agentforce use cases. Most of what I showed in the demo is not leveraging Data Cloud at all, right? Updating cases based on requests or, and, suggesting topics for sales reps to discuss with to discuss with customers, right? There's plenty of use cases that don't necessarily require data from outside of Salesforce and that don't necessarily require unstructured data. Really good question.
Any other questions?
Choices do you have for LLMs?
Yes, great question. Let me pull up. So there are some standard, like out of the box, large language models that you can select through Model Builder. But you can also bring your own large language model to a degree. There are some limitations to bringing your very own like fine-tuned models. But let me show you. It's my model builder. Okay. So here is a list, for example, of some large language models that, you know, come out of the box, kind of, I'll say. You can also add a foundation model here. And you can connect through, you know, through Azure OpenAI, Amazon Bedrock, Google Vertex. And it looks like this might be also where, like, they're adding things all the time. But if, for example, if I wanted to go through Bedrock and I said, yes, this is a fine-tuned version, like I could also connect my fine-tuned LLM through Bedrock, for example. So a lot of different options. The reason you have like options here is because Salesforce is being very selective about, you know, they only want you connecting to large language models that has a shared contract with Salesforce saying you're not going to retain the data that gets passed and you're not going to retrain your models based on the prompts that get sent to you. That's kind of why they give you this selection. They're making sure that they like vetted these large language models first.
Any other questions?
I noticed when you were doing all of your typing for the natural language, you were always typing Warren Bailey, like the name of the contact. Can it take into account your record context of what you're doing?
Like what page you're sitting on?
Yes. Yeah.
I have heard that it's on the roadmap and coming. It is not currently available in like the simple demo orgs that we have access to, but Agentforce is officially going live, I think tomorrow or Friday. So not today. We'll see if it's available on Friday when Agentforce comes out, but at a minimum, I've heard that it's on the roadmap. They definitely want to take like the page you're on to give it extra context from a co-pilot perspective.
Thank you.
Yep, good question. Yeah.
Good question in the back.
Yeah, when you say that there is limitations on bringing your own LML, what are those limitations?
Did you hear that, Emily?
Yeah, what are those limitations? Yeah. So for example, we had a client we were working with that wanted to build their own, they were building their own fine-tuned LLM through like Llama and Mistral, for example. And at the time that we were working with them, those models were not ones that were options to connect to, right? I don't see like any Mistral or Llama option, right, to connect through here. I don't want to say definitively because things are truly changing day by day, and I haven't played with this connect your LLM here. So I would say check with your Salesforce AE to see if there are still some of those bring your own LLM fine-tuned model limitations would be my suggestion.
Any other questions?
But I will say your most common foundational models, like your Azure OpenAI, your OpenAI, Amazon Bedrock, Google Vertex, all supported, all supported.
Doesn't look like we have any additional questions, Emily, so I think we made it just at time.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Get out of here. Thanks, Emily. Thanks, team.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.